I was in an automobile accident. We were hit head on by a drunk driver, and I was asleep. I was a passenger in the middle seat of a car. The driver was my mom. The second passenger in the front seat was my uncle, and I have four other sisters that were in the back seat, and we were asleep. We were traveling back from an amusement park, and we were in a small town. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the town. Nacogdoches, that's where it was. It was in Nacogdoches. And when the drunk driver hit his head on, he was traveling at a very high rate of speed. And at that time, there was no middle seat belt, so I did not have a seat belt on. And I was asleep when we hit the impact. I went through our windshield, and I was stuck between the two vehicles. I had massive head injuries and internal injuries, and just a lot all the way through, because I was trapped in between the two vehicles. And I did not. The only thing I know was that I came to and I felt warmth just pouring all over my face. I couldn't see, but only out of my right eye. This is all I could see. I couldn't see anything out of my left side.
Wow.
And I just had this feeling, this hot feeling of stuff just pouring all over, which it was blood. I was bleeding pretty massively. And I could see a body, but I couldn't see a head. And I didn't feel any pain, and I just was praying, because we were brought up as Messianic. We were not in this movement new. So I was brought up by my grandparents were Sabbath keepers and taught us from early on. So I was just praying in my head. I didn't know what else to do, but I was praying in my head. I didn't know what was happening. I was confused, and I just heard a voice. Says, we just relax. And so I just closed my eyes and went to sleep, and I was in this perfect, peaceful place, being held, and I didn't come to until we were in the hospital. So I didn't feel any pain, but I had a massive head injuries, massive internal injuries. I never felt any pain. Even when I woke up in the ambulance, I came to in the ambulance, and I didn't have any pain, but I could see everything happening. But if you saw the injuries, there was no way I could see, because it went through my face.
Oh.
The windshield went through my face and my eye, and I had to have surgery to keep my left eye. And then they told me that in the ambulance there was people, bystanders, that helped us, that was praying over us. My sisters were all thrown from the vehicle. None of them sustained any injuries whatsoever. My mom just sustained injuries to her legs from the dashboard, hitting into her legs and the steering wheel and her chest and stomach, but she didn't have any other injuries. My uncle was thrown from the vehicle. He didn't have any injuries at all. And so whenever they got me to the hospital, I guess the guy who hit us, later we found out that his daughter worked at the hospital as a nurse, and she asked to be assigned to us. And they had my mom stay in the hospital just to monitor and make sure she didn't have anything. But I was the only one that was injured. They put up my family, took care of them and everything the whole time I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital for a couple of months. And but I didn't have any pain until after I woke up and I was in the hospital. And they had IVs, and I had already gone through a surgery on my face to get out the glass and all the stuff that was embedded. And that's when I started having pain. But I felt like I was being held. I felt like everything was peaceful, and I could see the stuff going on around the ambulance.
Wow. Like you could see it from your normal, like your normal viewpoint, or was it kind of like an out of body experience? Okay.
It was like if I was just looking on as a bystander.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't from your physical point of view necessarily. Is that right?
Yes, from as if I was. I mean, I could see everything. It didn't feel like I was out of my body. It just felt like I was just looking on to all this happening.